Today we're going to be taking a look at the 1888 Allen and Ginter Great Generals N15 set. So up first, these are historical figures that feature military leaders as alluded to by the name. You can find some significant people like Caesar, Grant, Napoleon, and Washington. Now, if I was going to compare this to a baseball set, I would say it's probably closest to the Ramley T204s. These aren't the easiest cards to find. They really have awesome imagery, and there's some big names in there on the non-sports realm, just like with the Ramleys, so you have the Walter Johnson. I view the kind of like the Washington in this set as an equivalent. Full set pricing. Commons, they kind of have a wide variance or wide range, really, of the pricing. Typically, they go between $25 and $75. You're not going to find too many at that $25 threshold, but they do pop up. Even overseas, when I was trying to buy these, people were asking essentially a minimum of 50 pounds. So take that with a grain of salt, but that's what they go for over in Europe. We're all bigger names. You're not finding these less than $300. There's a really, really poor Washington that just sold on eBay for $325, I want to say. And the low grade value set is 5,000 plus. I think that's a little low. I think today it would go a little bit more based off of recent sales, but I wanted to have a starting point. And it's very common to see paper loss on the back of these cards. A lot of them also have, I wouldn't say a lot of them, but some of them have blank backs. If they're blank back, that means they are skinned. And also I've seen some of these that have the bottoms trimmed off. I've sold a few that have had bottoms trimmed off. There is a few people that did that with older tobacco cards. So with that in mind, I just wanted to show you guys a few comps on here. So this one sold for $9,000 back in 2023, but it was considered a high grade set of 50 cards. So we had that, and this is from Vintage Non-Sports Auctions. It says VG to X Mints. And then there was another high grade set, which I wonder if this is the same set. It just got sold at different times. And or upgraded those 3 cards. I don't know, but this sold in 2019 for $2,400. I also saw there was a mid-grade set that sold in Leland's in 2019, and that sold for like $4,500. I didn't create a slide for it, but regardless, just to give you a few comps on what a set goes for. And the pop report on here, you have about 800 cards that are graded, so the average pop per card is 16. The highest graded between PSA and SGC are 8. There's 4 of those. There's 175 to call out, and there's 59 sevens with 5 7.5s on there. And I probably just looked at the SGC when I was putting those 5 7.5s, but I just noticed that I have one also labeled for there. So there's probably 6 7.5s in general, or there's 5. Apologize for that. Regardless, in my opinion, there's probably about 5 to 15 copies of each of these that still exist raw. That's just from what I've seen at card shows. Stuff still gets discovered all the time. So don't always trust pop reports. There still could be a decent amount of these out there. I don't think there's hundreds of these like some other sets, but you know, I still think there's at least 5+ copies of each card at a very bare minimum. Top PSA sets, you can see GPA weighted. Mims collection 6.72. Then there's a 6, 4, and then 3, and then it looks like a 5, 3, 6, but it's only 44% completed. So they're going for the registry, right? There's only 3 complete sets of the top 3. They have good grades though. Okay, and one other thing before we jump into the set, if you are trying to network with other vintage non-sports collectors, there is a Facebook group that I established with a few of my friends in the hobby. So make sure to join Vintage Non-Sports Card Collectors. We just hit 1,000 members, and we're trying to really scale up this group. The idea is to be one of the best spots for education on the non-sports side of things, and also buy, sell, and trade for your vintage non-sports needs. How I view vintage pre-2000 on non-sports, people disagree or agree. Either way, my opinion on that is pre-2000. So feel free to post anything pre-2000 in this group and have some discussion points to be surrounded. All right, let's start off with Caesar, the famous Roman general, known also for his 365-day calendar. There's 25 of these graded, with the highest being a PSA 7. 3.5 sold for 160. I lost that 3.5. I should have bid more in my opinion, but it happens. And a PSA 2 sold for 71. I do think I have this one raw with paper loss on the back. I still have a 1 copy, but I want to upgrade it. Up next, we have Custer, known for Custer's Last Stand. There's 18 of these that are graded. The highest is a PSA 7, and the most recent SGC 4.5 sale was $433. This card has amazing imagery on it. Up next, we have a Grant Union General 18th President. Total pop is 23, with the highest being a 7. I have this copy in a PSA 1.5, I want to say, and the 2 just sold for $5.95. All right, Andrew Jackson, 7th President, also known as the War 1812, Trail of Tears, and the $20 bill. 16 total graded. Highest is a 7 out there, and a 3 just sold for $280. I did sell one of these with the bottom and trimmed off, and that sold for, I think, $60 or $70. So if you're looking at a 1, you're probably looking at about $100 to $150. Stonewall Jackson, a Confederate general that died pretty early within the war. I couldn't find any recent public sales on this card, and a PSA 6 sold. The highest grade is a PSA 6, 19 total graded. General Lee, just known as Lee on the card. Obviously, the most famous Confederate general. There's 20 of these that have been graded. A PSA 7 is the highest, and a 1 of this sold for $495. Napoleon, the famous French emperor, 17 graded. The highest is an SGC 8, and I couldn't find any recent public sales on this. Although I think there was like a 1 or a 2 that sold in one of the non-sports goods for about $300. George Washington, first president, Revolutionary War. Surprisingly, there's only 13 of these graded, which seems a little bit low. The highest graded is a PSA 7. Now, I say that there's no recent public sales that I could find on pricing apps right now. Again, I saw a raw copy sell in very poor shape for over $300. And I want to say a 4 sold a few years ago for like $1,000 or $1,500, if I remember correctly. It was posted on the Facebook groups, but regardless, it's a very sought after card. Okay, let's go into a few honorable mentions. You have Winfield Scott, Fremont, which I believe they have Fremont Street named after Longstreet, as well as Sherman. So a lot of those Civil War generals that are out there, and again, 1800s historical figures. Video contributions. So if you do want to help me build out more of these set type videos, I don't know everything about non-sports, and I try to learn as much as I can. So make sure to hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or email. If you do want to help with a video, I'll give you contributions on here as well. And I do want to thank the channel members, Paul, Giles, Alaska Picker, and Aaron. I really appreciate it. If you guys want to become a channel member, I will also add you to the end of these videos. If you're brand new here, make sure to subscribe. I'm trying to build out this non-sports series, and I have a ton of other videos here on the channel. I do top sales at auction houses and eBay every single month. I go to card shows and obviously collect, so you guys can see a little bit of my personal collection. With that being said, I will catch you guys in another video.